This is the weakest of the movies that I have watched of his, which are pretty much all of them except for this.
Welcome to Josh's House of Nerd podcast.
Hello, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Grab a cold Evergreen Gobble of Blue Milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. Now, for tonight's sponsor. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by the letter B and C and the letter W. And if that trips you out, then you need to go see a doctor about duotryptophobia. And just so you know, I finished writing this at 8:23. Now on to the show. Today on the podcast, we are on the topic for the month, which is movies that are mind-bending. And tonight's movie is the 2007 thriller directed by Joel Schumacher, starring Jim Carrey, Virginia Madsen, Logan Lerman. And it is about Walter Sparrow, who is an animal control officer and married to Agatha with their son Robin. Walter fails to catch a stray dog named Ned and is late to meet Agatha. Agatha ends up browsing a bookstore and begins reading a book titled The Number 23, written by Top Secrets, which she gives to Walter for his birthday present. Walter starts reading the book and notices similarities between himself and the main character. Let's talk about this movie, guys.
So if you remember, I chose all Jim Carrey movies for Mindbenders,
Right.
and it was a hard choice because there was literally only 3 that fit that genre out of all the movies he's done. I mean, you could maybe argue for another one, but anyways, and when I mentioned I picked this one and we picked it, it was definitely, I said, the weakest of the 3. And rewatching this after not having seen it for probably about 5 years, if not longer, my opinion on the movie is still that it's his absolute weakest film, I think. And I think it's a garbage of a film, personally.
Do you think it's the weakest of just of those 3 picks, or of all of his films completely?
I think it's one of his weakest of all his films completely. I'd have to go through I haven't gone through all of his filmography recently, but it's definitely one of the worst ones out of there, I think.
I wish I could weigh in on Spotless Mind because I haven't seen that one. But I mean, other than Spotless Mind, I think I've seen all of his movies. And I would have to agree with you. I can't, again, speak to Spotless Mind, but this is the weakest of the movies that I have watched of his, which are pretty much all of them except for this. Matter of fact, I just watched Sonic 2 with him in it. And Sonic 2 was better than this one.
Hey, yeah. Sonic 2 wasn't half bad.
No, I actually like both the Sonic movies, actually. But anyway, yeah. I think I like the first Sonic movie better than the second one, but not by much. Yeah.
Crit, I'm sorry I cut you off there.
No, you're fine. Keep going.
So
that's all I had. I just had to praise Sonic really quickly because I really enjoyed his performance in Sonic. He does a good Robotnik.
He does a good Jim Carrey. It feels like Jim Carrey's finally
Jim
back.
Carrey. Yeah, it's very true.
But it feels like he's finally back after like doing movies like this. You know, he did The Majestic and Spotless Mind and this one. He'd like tried to go out on a limb away from, more serious roles like this one. And some of them paid off, some of them didn't, like this one, in my opinion. And it's kind of just good to see him kind of back in a genre that he's very good at. I mean, and I say that, and it makes it sound like his movies like The Truman Show or The Majestic or some of those other ones were bad. I actually really like those movies. But he's definitely a comedic actor. He does have some chops for the dramatic. I think some of his film choices just haven't been great.
I think that's what it comes down to too. I think he can be a very dramatic actor. Like you could see bits of it come out in when he's playing Fingerling, and you can see bits of it come out. I think he's got chops to be an incredible dramatic actor. I mean, we've seen it in Truman, Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah,
you can see it there. So I don't think he's that, but I think he comes down to, like you said, the choice of films.
Well, this one felt like Joel Schumacher trying to do M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, right?
That's a good point, Crit. That's a good point. I mean, he was trying to do the whole twist thing and the.
It's a twist.
But really, was it? I mean,
No, it was, but
it was a twist. But did it blow your guys' socks off? I mean, come on, it didn't blow mine off. And this is the first time I've seen it, and it did not blow my. I just went, okay.
It almost felt like it almost felt like a Deus Ex Machina ending, like in a weird way, because it's like, oh, he had amnesia, and that's why he couldn't remember all this. I'm like, wait, so his wife, who knew she was dating a mental patient, like he knows he's a mental patient, or doesn't remember his past. Like his wife would have found that out pretty quick. There's just so many holes with that whole, oh, I got amnesia because I jumped out of a window. And of course, I don't remember any of this. It's just a mess.
I think the whole, I would agree with like most of the plot. I would say most of the movie is kind of a mess when you start like analyzing it, like you just did. It's, I don't know. It just never shocked me. It never, like, it was good enough to just keep going and seeing what was going to happen next, but I was never like blown away at any moment in time. Like, oh, that was a good point. That was a good, that was a good moment. I wish I could point out like a good moment. But this movie, it just didn't make me feel that way. Matter of fact, I can't think of too many memorable scenes in this movie that make me want to rewatch it ever again.
Yeah, I don't think there's any scenes that make me want to rewatch it. There's a few memorable, like, what the crap scenes, like when he has the saxophone and throws it at the mirror, and you're like,
right.
what the crap is this?
Now, I think one thing that in my mind that kind of stood out about this movie is there's not enough movies out there with Virginia Madsen in it. She's really good and stuff like that. I mean, you don't see her often enough, I think. And I think I've always thought she was a good actress. And to see her in this movie, she did a great job acting against what she could, with what she had.
Didn't she do a lot of TV?
I only know her from movies. I mean, she was the original Princess Irulan from the original Dune. Yeah. And stuff like that. That's why I always key into her whenever I see her, because I thought, oh my goodness, when I first saw the original Dune with her in it, I was enamored by Princess Irulan in that. Did not know for years. Honestly, I did not know until this year that was her. It was her first acting job. From what
other than Virginia Madsen, though, I mean, we have Danny Huston, and that's really the end of the big names there.
This doesn't have a lot of big names, yeah.
No.
What is he from? I recognize his face, but I couldn't place him if I tried.
He's from a few things. Like he was in X-Men. Like I'm pretty sure he was the bad guy in X-Men. The Wolverines one. Yeah, he's William Stryker in Wolverine.
Is he really? Oh, he is. Yeah. Oh my goodness, he is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of where I remember him from.
Okay.
Children of Men, he's Nigel. But other than that, I'm reaching at that point. I know, like I've seen, he's one of those actors where you see him a lot in side roles, like in the small speaking roles, but not too often where he's any kind of big player.
Yeah. Moreover with this movie, I even though it did have good actors in it and stuff like that, I just wish that when I went into this movie originally, I thought it had a very good premise. I thought it was intriguing, how it kind of started out and stuff. I just wish it had delivered a little bit more. And I know we're not the only ones. I did a little research on it, and one of the things I have up on my page right now is number 23 recap. Let me count the ways in which you don't add up, and it's the subtitle underneath of it is Jim Carrey has made some curious choices throughout his career, and the very worst of them to date screens on TV this evening. And it's all about the number 23, the worst of his movies. It says.
Right.
And I would have fought with somebody saying one of the worst movies that I thought originally would have been Cable Guy. I didn't originally like the Cable Guy, and it has really grown on me now. I see the dark humor now, and I really like that movie of his. But so, to see that this one kind of is less than even I thought that was at that time is surprising to me.
I'm not a big fan of The Mask.
I'd have to rewatch it again. I haven't seen it for years, but I really originally liked it a lot.
I liked it as a kid.
I think that's the
I loved
point.
it as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
what
that's the point.
what do you mean?
It's a kids movie, sort of. Like it's not. It's a live action cartoon. It's basically equivalent to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
some ways. And so
Yeah, I
I
think
don't,
that's
I
cool.
don't, I think it's better in the sense that it hits its target audience better than this movie. I think the number
Yeah.
23 is just like tries to couch itself in the kind of, isn't this interesting? Like how 23 can just kind of be derived out of everything, and but the
Well,
problem is it gets annoying after a while. Like it,
right?
it
Thank
It
you.
bleeds
You
together.
I
Yeah.
agree with you, Crit. Even I can relate to the number 23. Believe it or not, and a lot of people out there who will listen to this that are my friends will know that my favorite number is the number 23, and it has been. I didn't even know this movie existed. I was born on the 23rd, and the 23 has been my favorite number since high school. And so there was a few like interesting things about that. Um, some of those associations, where I personally have with it, but beyond that,
But yeah,
it didn't
Crit,
hit target audiences. I think you said it right, Crit.
yeah, Crit. I think it just became it became unbearable background noise.
Yeah, it was like the logical leaps that you have to take in order to get the 23 out, and it's like, isn't this isn't this amazing? Isn't this amazing? Isn't this amazing? It's like, dude, okay. After a while, you're just like, all right, shut up, kid, get away from me, stop talking to me about this. And that's basically the movie is just this annoying kid with this like one fact that they want to, one observation that they want it to be real deep, and they keep just coming at you with it. And after a while, you're just like, okay, I hear you, I don't care. And that's the problem with the movie, is that I just don't care. Like it's not that interesting a premise. And then they
No.
couch it in the whole like, he is the murderer, and
Yeah,
and I don't know, it was
the
just, it
actual
kind of felt like,
plot.
yeah, it felt lazy, but not in a like, we're just going to make a lazy movie type way. More along
Yeah.
the lines of like, we're just going to do the obvious things, but we're going to do it really enthusiastically. And it's like, all right.
Well, and the actual plot could literally happen without the number 23 ever being really there. Like it talks about where, it's this obsession of his dad, and it kind of became his obsession. But other than that, the actual plot, the actual story where he kills somebody and then he gets amnesia and doesn't remember, has literally nothing to do with 23. Like
Yeah.
it's not even. It's like they're trying to make it an outward symbol of a psychosis type deal. But man, they could have done something, like you said, not so lazy. And it's hard to tell a story like that without having some kind of lazy crutch like the 20, the number to drive it. But that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like a crutch.
And I'm not this is probably just because it's maybe a product of its time, but it's kind of cringy to watch a movie that associates mental illness with danger.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's played its course, and I kind of don't look on it as like an interesting premise anymore. That his obsession with 23 causes him to kill, his girlfriend. And it's like, that it's not a great portrayal, and I'm just not really interested in those types of stories.
Yeah, my memory, like I didn't remember it being that much better than what it actually is, but I thought the 23 thing was a lot more intriguing at the time, and now looking back on through it, it's like you said, it's an unpleasant to the taste crutch.
Well, and honestly, when you said this movie, I was thinking of the Nicolas Cage movie with the aliens that are angels and the giant plane crash.
Oh, is that The Knowing?
Yeah, or
Yeah,
something
the
like that. Yeah,
knowing.
like I get the for some reason I don't know if they came out at the same time or something, but I get those two mixed up, the number 23 movie and the
And
Knowing. And
knowing.
I was thinking the Knowing, I was like, oh, yeah, that'll be an interesting watch. We'll have some
It
things
was
to talk
not.
about. And it like I almost think because I don't know which one's better, but the Knowing might have been more interesting as far as a conversation goes, I think.
I think The Knowing,
Yeah.
even though it's not a great movie, it is a
It's
little bit
not,
more
yeah.
intriguing.
Yeah.
I think it's a little more of an intriguing premise than number 23, even though it's still not a great movie.
Yeah.
And it was 2009, by the way, and The Knowing came out, so there was a little
Okay.
bit of. There was only about 2 years apart from
Yeah.
those two.
Yeah.
So
And
I have.
then-
Go ahead,
Go
John.
ahead. Nope, go ahead.
I was gonna ask a different question. So if you need to go on with this topic
Nope, keep going.
I was just gonna bring up that this is Joel Schumacher. I don't know what your
Phantom
feelings
of the
about
Opera and what Batman and Robin were his big ones.
Batman Forever,
that's all I
the Val
found.
Kilmer one.
Yeah.
He did 8mm. Bad Company. I'm just picking out some of the ones that I know that are really, really good. He did The Lost Boys, St. Elmo's Fire, DC Cab, which I thought was one in the 80s with Mr. T. I used to like freaking be on HBO like in repeat all the time. Anyways, my question to you guys is, do you think this was directed well? The script was not great. We've been definitely talking about that a lot. But overall, what do you guys think about like the cinematography on this? What do you think about the
I don't know.
direction of this? Because
the
it is Joel Schumacher.
cinematography-
He can be a good director. There's proof of that in his, in his filmography. But he's got a lot of misses too.
You bring up the cinematography, and man, there was some shaky cam shots that were just like unpleasant to sit through, and like the black and white shot with Ned, I think it was, with the graveyard in the background. Like there was just some really cheap. How did they do that? How did they get away with this on such a high budget film? Like it's just some really bad.
Some of those
Bad
black and white
cinematography.
cutaways that they did were not good.
The imagined told story, and it kind of felt
They were
like
going for like a Sin City.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were going for Sin City, but they couldn't pull off the style.
Yeah, and they
'Cause
they
it was
definitely
just
couldn't
kinda-
pull it off.
It was like instead of crisp and interesting, it felt greasy, like
Yeah,
grease on
even
a
his hair. I think it
glass.
was his
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah, that
his
too.
hair was just greasy.
Yeah.
But it was like they were shooting for noir and got stuck at high school level.
Dude, whenever
angst.
they did those sex scenes, it was confusing. Like some of the angles they were taking, like I don't even really. I know this is a sex scene, but I'm not even sure what angle that is or what I'm looking at here. I literally thought that in a couple of scenes
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
When he
it was-
took off his shirt and had the snake tattoo or the thorn tattoo, I laughed out
jeez.
loud.
Yeah,
It was just
the
absolutely just
tribal-
busted out laughing.
the whole
And-
tribal
I thought to
tattoo
myself,
thing.
Is that Blade?
Well, like I was like, I don't know what they're going for. Maybe in hindsight, it's like the story is told by a juvenile mind, and so therefore it's juvenile in nature. But the problem is you don't know that to such late in the story that you have no context, and you're just seeing this on the screen as if it's supposed to be cool or something. And I'm like, and then he's hanging around with the saxophone, and it's like,
Oh my gosh!
I'm like, I don't know what you're going for. I want to laugh at this. But they're framing it as if it's serious or important. And I'm like, I'm just wanting to laugh at it. And I don't think that's what they were going for. It's not a parody movie. It's not,
No, and
Yeah.
it's funny because this did come out after Sin City. So they
Yeah.
could have very well, Sin City was 2005. Very well could have been trying to go for that feel.
I mean, Sin City's a juvenile show also, but at least it's stylish in a way.
Yeah, and I think they embraced their juvenile.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Tendency.
meant to be, kind of
It's
edgy,
meant to be
cool.
Sin City.
Yeah, it's meant to be what it's based on as a comic book, but it's like this is a weird, like, I don't know, adults channeling teenagers. It's I don't know. It's kind of off-putting, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree with that very much so. Just like a lot of this movie, very off-putting.
Yeah.
But yeah, normally I could say like, Schumacher would, I do like some of his movies. There's a few movies that he did that maybe people wouldn't agree with that I thought were good. I mean, he did Phone Booth, which I thought was a good, with, man, I can't remember the director or the actor in it. Forrest Whitaker and Colin Farrell. That's what it is. I thought that was pretty good, but I don't know. A lot of people like 8mm. I couldn't sit through the whole thing of it because I was like, I didn't like the topic. The topic really bothered me. But I really like Batman Forever, which I know is not a lot of people do, because it's definitely the funnier, definitely a funnier version of, or more comedic or comedic comic book version of Batman. But I still liked it. But
Well,
I
that
don't
was the
know.
one with Jim Carrey, right?
It was the one with Jim Carrey,
So
and Val Kilmer, and
Well, yeah, no, I get it, but like,
Yeah.
so is number 23 the reunion of Jim Carrey and Joel Schumacher,
yes,
or
it is.
had they done any movies together between those two?
Nope,
That'd
I'm
be a
looking at the
question
whole
I'd have.
filmography right now, and there is no movies with them in it between those two. So it would have been a reunion of the two.
Gotcha.
Matter of fact, he didn't do any other movies with Jim Carrey
You know-
other than these two.
Joel may have cashed in a or Jim Carrey may have been doing a favor on this. I don't know, or vice versa.
potentially.
I don't know whoever came up with the kind of greenlit the movie.
Or they both lost a bet.
Which does happen. I mean, we did watch the Matrix, so I'm guessing a bet was lost on that one on this fourth Matrix. So
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
that might be too harsh. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was not a good film. It really comes down to it, and has been, I think, one of the worst films we've reviewed on the podcast. Personally,
Maybe
Really,
not the
you're gonna
worst.
go that worst? Really?
No, not the worst. I'm
I
saying
was gonna
one
say
of
we did watch Firebirds,
wait.
dude. I mean,
Oh, you shut up about Firebirds. Firebirds.
and the Santa Claus.
No,
oh, that was worse. That was worse.
No,
Sorry, Fred.
I think the issue comes down to is that it's just not interesting. Like the
Right.
premise, you can't milk this for any like interesting facts or feelings that it made caused in you or anything else. Like there's nothing to dig here, and so it makes it
Yeah.
difficult as a podcast movie.
And I hoped there would be. Like I don't know. I thought there was going to be more to be able to tear apart, even if it was just a bad movie, like to be able to tear more apart. But I think you hit the nail on the head with it. Like it's not even interesting enough for that. It's just like, it's not a Firebirds.
Right. It's not a Firebirds.
I actually was entertained with Firebirds, which is the funny thing and stuff. I thought that was far more entertaining than even this movie.
Yeah, but
which is
we know
crazy.
we know it's not a great movie, but it's
No. Oh, no.
entertaining, and we can have a good conversation about it. This one was just, if it was a spice, it'd be flour.
Vanilla.
Basically.
Oh, that's funny, man. Flour.
All right. Well, it sounds like we've said what we wanted to say about it.
I think we have. Let's go to ratings. Crit, do you want to start it?
Sure. I'll do 3 out of 10.
I would not watch this with my mom because I don't want to watch it again.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I don't want to watch it either again. I'm giving this. I want to give this. Yeah, I'm gonna give this. I didn't go 3. I might have, should have, but I did a 4
That's fine.
out of
How dare
10
you.
knives to the throat and
Or,
stuff, because
yeah.
that's what
Sexy
I felt like.
knives. Sexy knives. You got to pretend you have a knife.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And his pretending he has a knife is like the dumbest thing I've seen.
It was horrible, and
Like,
it
oh my
felt like
gosh.
acting, like horrible acting.
And they did it
But yeah,
twice.
I
Yeah,
know.
twice.
So yeah, 4 out of 10 knives to the throat. I honestly felt like it was a knife to the throat watching it the entire time. So, yeah, okay. Let's move on to Let's move on to Crit's picks, and then we will talk about the genre for next month.
All right.
Crit, give it to us, man.
Okay. First, number 1, Goblin and a Vampire. Number 2, surreal isn't the most accurate description. And number 3, story about stories.
John, he kind of got me with number 1, like right off the bat. I don't know what if you were feeling
we
another
can
one.
do number 1.
Okay.
That
Number
one
3
kind of
sounded intriguing too. So,
All right.
What was number 3 again?
Story about
stories.
You okay with? Okay.
I would rather do number 3.
All right, let's do number 3 then.
I'm a sucker for anthologies, so.
Oh my gosh. Dang it. I
What?
almost got you guys to pick a really great one. Like you were this
Oh.
close and you just backed off of it. Okay. Story number 3. All right, let's go. Number 1, Goblin and a Vampire. You almost chose The Lighthouse,
Oh, damn it.
which would have been amazing. And I'm
That
disappointed in
film
both
is
of you.
amazing.
Damn it.
Number 2, surreal isn't the most accurate description. Eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. I thought that we should have another crack at that.
Missed
Try
that
that
one.
Oh shiz! If the third one is okay,
If the
Hopefully-
third one's
Number
horrible,
3.
Josh is going to execute his administrative capabilities here.
All right, number 3, story about stories, adaptation.
Adaptation. I've never seen that.
It's Nicolas Cage and your favorite writer,
Oh,
who
Kaufman.
did, yeah, Kaufman.
oh, you've got to be kidding me! This is a Kaufman one.
Well, I mean, so is Spotless Mind.
Okay, well now I'm interested because I've never seen this.
Okay.
I've never seen any of
So
those,
I'm-
so
I'm
I would have
now
been fine with
intrigued.
any of them.
It's got Meryl
Alright.
Streep in it. Okay.
I've seen it. I just never have
Tilda
leaned into it.
Swinton
Oh my
and
goodness!
Chris Cooper. This is gonna be great. I'm kind of excited for it. I've never seen
Adaptation is a
it.
great movie. I just wish you guys had stuck on The Lighthouse.
Yeah,
I kind of wish I would have stuck on The Lighthouse too, because that one is
my bad.
that is one that
Yeah.
I've been interested in seeing, because I've heard it's kind of weird and
Oh,
but
it is so
interesting.
weird.
I mean,
is so weird.
Is it as weird as The Lobster?
Yes.
Yeah,
Weirder,
at least
yeah.
as
Because The
weird.
Lobster was weird as hell,
Yeah.
but yet was intriguing at the same time. Like, I can't say that I hated The Lobster, because I didn't. It was weird as hell though, but I
Yeah,
kind of
I'll-
liked it.
I'll have to get The Lighthouse back on here at some point.
Shiz, I wish we would have stuck with that first one. I wish I would have stuck to my guns. Anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Let John
welcome
push
to
you
go Watch
around.
The Lighthouse, and then we can talk about it. Just
Nope,
we,
that's
we
not in the
can
rules.
have conversations outside the podcast.
Well,
Okay.
you don't want to invalidate the format. Come on now.
all right, you guys ready for next month's topic now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I thought about this one, and this one immediately popped into my head, and there's a reason for it. In lieu of, or in light of there being a new Top Gun movie, I wanted to do a topic about airplanes. So my topic for this next month is movies with planes. Now I'm going to explain what that means. Okay, that either the movie has to either take place a majority on an airplane, or has a large part that takes place on an airplane. So there's a lot more movies out there than you think there is that fall into this premise.
No,
I
there's-
looked into
there's
it
a
before.
lot.
We're just going to list
So-
Tommy Knockers 3 times.
Can't leave out Red
Tommy
Eye.
Knockers. Please don't bring up that Tommy Knockers miniseries.
made for
Oh,
TV miniseries.
it had such a great cast, and it was horrible.
Yep.
I can remember the CGI from it
Oh,
to
so
this
bad.
day. Little Pac-Man's like eating up everything. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Yes. Anyway, so yes, a majority of the have to take place on a plane, or a good portion of the movie has to take place on a plane. Like, well, I could name off some to give some ideas, but I think you guys get
Nah.
the picture.
Yeah, I think we can
We'll
handle
figure
it.
out.
So, and I've already got some picks in mind of the movies I'll come up with next time, because there's a lot more than I even suspected, which is why I leaned into it more after I kind of looked into like what kind of a selection there would be from that genre. So not necessarily a genre, but definitely a topic to follow. So anyways, good luck with that, guys. May the force be with you. And stuff. And like I said, this is in kind of hopefully I am honoring a true good movie. the new Top Gun that's coming out. So, and anyways, all right. I think this was a good podcast for a horrible movie, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute of it. And to everybody out there listening, thank you for supporting our channel. Click the like button if you like what you hear. And as always, may you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper. From all of us here at Josh's House of Nerd. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check out our other nerdy videos.